Now, for the first time in more than 20 years, the Texas Education Agency is considering adjusting the sex ed curriculum for Texas schools. But those changes make no mentions of LGBTQ sex ed. 25 News reporter Leah McNeil has more tonight.
I got the chance to speak to IZABEL Weaver, senior and founder of the First Gay Straight Alliance at Waco High School. She tells me this exclusion is extremely disappointing and disheartening.
That's so important for kids to have, because the sex education I've received has not given me any information that I really believe is helpful. I just feel like they kind of dance around important topics instead of really focusing in on what's important.
IZABEL tells me the only helpful information she's gotten about sex education has been from her mother, but she acknowledges not everyone has that luxury, especially students who identify as LGBTQ+.
Sex education could help relationships and finding out what are red flags versus what's safe, finding ways to be safe in your own body and with other people. That doesn't have a sexuality on it. You know what I mean? It should be for everybody.
Surveys tell us that nearly 60% of LGBT students in our schools say they feel unsafe at school. And that's a real tragedy.
Dan Quinn, research director at the Texas Freedom Network, says the current sex education requirements have been failing Texas students for years, with 80% of Texas schools having abstinence-only sex education or none at all.
Schools can be a safe place where students can learn factual information without having to rely on unreliable resources like the wilderness of the internet or their peers.
On top of excluding LGBTQ sex education, Quinn says there has also been some pushback on topics like contraception and consent.
Unfortunately, there is some opposition on the state board to including information on contraception and even to teaching students about the importance of consent in 2020, which just seems rather bizarre.
Though a final decision has not been made, Quinn feels there are some things that should be implemented without question.
At the very least, the state board should adopt standards that require students to learn that everybody deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their sexual orientation or their gender identity.
This isn't something that should be targeted.
Quinn says the Texas Freedom Network is in the process of drafting some amendments they plan to submit to the TEA. But as of right now, we'll all have to wait till November when they make their final decisions. In Killeen, Leah McNeil, 25 News.
Leah, thank you. Students are not required to take sex ed classes. A parent can choose for their child to opt out. Currently, Texas law does not require schools to teach STD or HIV prevention. Overall, Texas ranks 25th for the most new cases of chlamydia in the country right now.